This is the Batflip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damien, David, and Matt. Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the Batflip Podcast. Damien, David, and Matt here with you. Today, we're going to be doing a trade deadline primer. So we're going to be going over some buyers, some sellers, some in-betweeners, maybe what we think they should do, who we expect to kind of get traded. And we also have some deals that have already happened over the past 48, 30, 72 hours. So it's going to be an interesting one right here. But before we get into all that, David, how are you doing this week?
Doing good. Ready for some trade deadline action. I'm excited for Thursday. I think it's going to be a fun day. We got something somewhat big planned for that, so it should be a good time. Excited for, this is also the season of, iRacing stuff starting up. I'm excited for that too. So, just got all those kind of extracurriculars going on right now, and I'm having a good time. How you doing, Matt?
Doing pretty good. Got my golf hat on, my golf resort hat, because that's where my Braves players will be headed soon, since they are absolutely terrible and they're going to be taking the early vacations this year. So I congrats to them on that. They sure tried to earn being on vacation early. So but yeah, otherwise I'm excited for the trade deadline as well. It's probably the last time something positive could happen for my team this year. Is maybe get a good make a good trade at the deadline and get a good prospect back that you're not expecting for somebody. But it should be a wild day. I'm excited for that. Just counting down the days until the end of August when we get college football back, and hopefully the weather starts to cool down and the Major League Baseball playoffs are coming. This is the month that always just crawls by, and it is going to crawl by this year. So after July 31st, it's going to be a slow 3 or 4 weeks, but the fun stuff is coming. So it'll be good. So Damien, how are you this week?
Doing all right. I was feeling a little under the weather this weekend, so kind of just hung out a little bit. Watched my team play in Fenway, which is always a fun place to see your team go to. Obviously, it's every other year now, so enjoyed some of that. Got to watch Garrett Crochet against them, which I didn't enjoy. But like you said, it's trade deadline season. Getting ready for that. We've been on the edge of our seat all weekend, expecting things to happen. We get a little bit of news, so it's interesting there. But you said at the end of July, it kind of slows down. For me, it starts picking up a little bit because you get fantasy football gets started too right after that. Just got my draft order. I got picking fourth. Just got that right before we went live, so I get to start looking at that a little bit. After the deadline on Thursday. But you said you don't have anything to look forward to for your team, Matt. But we'll say they got a pretty exciting thing that's happening this weekend. Playing the Speedway Classic at Bristol Motor Speedway, which is something we wanted to talk about. So I guess let's just transition that as like a little topic to start with here. But the Reds and Braves do play a game in NASCAR's Bristol Motor Speedway this weekend. If you haven't seen the field in the infield there, it looks insane. It's already come out that they have sold over 85,000 tickets for this game. It's expected to break the MLB attendance record for a regular season game ever. There's some interesting things like the Jumbotron, whatever you want to call it there, like being technically over the field of play. So I wonder if something hit, we have some Tropicana rules there. But Matt, it's obviously your team. So we knew this was coming. But we get the jerseys, we get all that. Now we have the actual pictures of the field, and it's this week. I know your team's bad right now, but that's got to give you a little bit of excitement, right?
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean the whole idea of doing these one-off games has always been a fun thing for me. I think it's they're going to break the MLB attendance record. Apparently, they've sold over 85,000 tickets already. That'll be really cool to see. It's obviously in the middle of the Braves territory, and also, not far from the Reds territory. I don't think, Cincinnati is not that far from Bristol, Tennessee. So it honestly might be kind of 50-50, halfway there between the two. But yeah, it should be a fun event. They always do a good production for something like this. That I'm sure the national TV broadcast crew will be there, the big one. So it'll be really cool, and the uniforms are pretty cool. I kind of want to get one of the Braves hats. The Reds uniforms looked awesome too. I think it's going to be a fun event to take in, and seems like something that would be fun to go to as well. Just even though, I mean, I've been to Bristol numerous times for NASCAR, and I can tell you that if you're in the normal seating and around the track, probably not going to be able to see anything that's going on in the game. But you can see it on the jumbotron. The atmosphere and the event in general is going to be really cool. So very very fun stuff. Obviously we might end up seeing like somebody terrible pitching for the Braves, which is happening. And it's also interestingly that Bristol Motor Speedway is at like 1,700 feet elevation, so it is a little bit elevated.
Mhm.
I think that would be the second highest stadium in baseball behind Colorado. Might be like third. Arizona's might be around that, but I believe the Braves are second or third, and they're about
Mhm.
600, 700 feet lower. So that might play some form of a factor in the ball carrying too. So it'll be interesting to see. But
Mhm.
yeah, very cool. It's going to be a very cool event. Excited for it.
It's wonderful to get the crossover because we're all NASCAR guys. We're all racing fans, and to be able to bring those two worlds together is just super special. We've seen the cool games, I think, at this kind of section of the year before. We did the
Yep.
Field of Dreams games and stuff like that. This is a really good thing that Major League Baseball is doing. I definitely am appreciative that we have about one a year. I think that's probably the perfect amount for me to continue to get excited about it year after year in terms of these kind of special events mid-season. But like you said, right, the uniforms look great. Damien and I did a whole episode on Battlefield Entertainment of the ranking all of the
City Connect.
City
Yeah.
Connect uniforms, and they kept the team's identity so well that they just incorporated the racing aspect into the uniforms very well. I mean, for me, Damien, I don't know about you, those I would have argued for both of those in S tier. Just felt great about them. When it came out, I was mad. I was like, they worked harder on these uniforms. Like they did a better job on these uniforms than a lot of those City Connect uniforms that we went and trashed on that episode. So this is great. I'm excited about it. I am going to probably try to watch this game because this is a really cool thing. We have
Damien, your mic is cut
Oh,
out.
there.
There it
Yeah,
is.
I put it. I'm definitely going to try and watch it for sure. Deadline will be over. It'll kind of be in that little bit of a lull period before you really start picking things up. So I'll definitely be trying to tune into this one. But let's go over some of the smaller trades that have happened over the past weekend or so. Obviously, David did the Quick Flips episode with Ryan McMahon getting traded to the Yankees. The Yankees made another small move acquiring infielder Ahmed Rosario from the Washington Nationals for right-handed pitcher Clayton Beeter and Bram Martinez. Is that right?
Brown? Yeah.
That's weird.
That's a name.
That's a name for sure. And then let's just run through quick all of these ones. We'll highlight a little bit as we go. Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnik have been traded to the Tigers for catcher Enrique Jimenez. If you ask Bob Nightingale, that's Enrique Hernandez. The Dodgers infielder again for some reason. We love Boob. Randall Grichuk has been traded to the Royals for relief pitcher Andrew Hoffman from the Arizona Diamondbacks, obviously. Eric Fetty, who was DFA'd by the Cardinals, and Carlos Carrasco, who I believe was DFA'd from the Yankees, have both been traded to the Braves for cash because, like Matt mentioned, their entire rotation is dead. And then the Florida teams have decided to make a couple trades here, with the Rays sending catcher Danny Jansen to the Brewers for their number 24 prospect, and then also acquiring Nick Fortes from the Marlins for their number 28 prospect there. So real quick, kind of highlighting over those. David, is there any of those that kind of stand out to you as interesting?
Ahmed Rosario to the Yankees is actually really important because one, the Yankees just went out and acquired Ryan McMahon, left-handed hitter, but they lost Aaron Judge. We're going to talk about it. Aaron Judge is going on the IL. They are going to need that right-handed thump in the lineup. And the thing Ahmed Rosario does really, really well is hit left-handed pitching. You'll see him get put in like shortstop and third base. He's not a good defender there. He can go stand out there, and he's done it before, but he's at this point, he's mostly like a a utility bat off the bench, but he's going to need to start for the Yankees for the time that Aaron Judge is out right now. That is the most impactful deal. The fact that they got this deal done so quickly after the Ryan McMahon deal, I think gave us a little insight to that Aaron Judge injury. And, with the injury news coming out after the deal, it's pretty clear that that's kind of a temporary, it's going to temporarily replace Judge in the lineup against those left-handed pitchers. So the Yankees are in a spot right now where they're looking up at the Blue Jays by like 4 or 5 games. Like they need Amed Rosario to kind of go crazy, and Ryan McMahon both, if Judge is going to be out, because this lineup without Aaron Judge is just, it doesn't have a whole lot of bite, especially away from Yankee Stadium. And that's the biggest one of this group for me. I really like the Tigers picking up Chris Paddock. I've always been a Chris Paddock believer. I think in our Dynasty League's first iteration, I traded a Corey Seager for him back in 2020. So yeah, I'm like, hey, I was a Chris Paddock believer. Now that was the wrong move, absolutely the wrong move. But I was Chris
pretty
Paddock
bad.
We ended up, I think, deleting that trade and recycling for a new one. But it was, Chris Paddock I like, but the big move here, I think for sure, is Amed Rosario to the Yankees.
So real quick, I think when you restarted, you also traded Zach Wheeler and Jeff McNeil for Chris Paddock. It looks like.
Oh, that was it. That was that. I traded Zach Wheeler for Chris Paddock, which again, just a horrible idea.
Man.
It's all right.
And that is the one still currently going.
Yeah, the team's been good. I had a horrible deal for Chris Paddock though, for sure. Always been a believer.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that the biggest impactful move is definitely Eric Fetty to the Braves. I mean,
of course,
like they're going to get us the #1 pick in the draft with that. So,
yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, he's been awful. In all seriousness, no, Chris Paddock, I think is the big move here. David mentioned it for a minute. I think that's a really good move. His profile reminds me a little bit of Casey Mize, and the Tigers have found ways for Casey Mize to be very successful this year. Throws decently hard, but the splitter, kind of the big splitter, is his pitch. And I think that could be, and obviously the oft injured as well. They've been able to kind of figure it out. And the other thing with Chris Paddock is home runs have been his big problem in his career. And I think that playing in that ballpark could help him out more than it helps out other guys. So I definitely think Chris Paddock to the Tigers is a solid move. They didn't really give up that much to get him. So that's good. I definitely am with you, David, on Amed Rosario. He's going to help them. The Ryan McMahon Amed Rosario platoon that will probably end up happening could be a good thing. Also, remember Jazz Chisholm playing second base. Sometimes he struggles with left-handed pitching. So, you've got Amed Rosario to plug in there if he goes through a cold spell or something. And of course, I think Aaron Judge is supposed to be back like immediately when the IL number, the 10 days is up. But, she mentioned they're in a division race. They're 5.5 games behind now. And the Blue Jays are smoking hot right now. So, I mean, it's going to be tough to catch them without Aaron Judge, but they had to make immediate moves. So I think that was a good move. And last one, just Danny Jansen to the Brewers. The Brewers always figure catchers out. So kind of watch out for that one.
Yeah. And Contreras is playing a little hurt. So maybe this gives him a little bit of time to
I would say maybe DH him a little bit, like Yelich played the outfield a little bit. And
the problem is it's a broken finger, so you kind of need to let him sit, and it's kind of hard. But regardless, I think the real interesting one is Randall Grichuk, because the Royals seem to be going for it. We can also talk about the Seth Lugo extension in this point as well, but the outfield for the Royals at this moment is Kyle Isbell, John Rave, and MJ Melendez, all left-handed hitters. So I definitely think you need a guy like Randall Grichuk, who's a left-handed crusher, but also can take over some of those starts from those guys. Like at this point, I think I would trust Randall Grichuk playing every day rather than MJ Melendez.
Yeah.
Just if you're a team that seems like you're pseudo going for it, like they're not buying, but they're not going to sell, or they might soft buy, obviously, because what gives us that answer is the fact that they extended Seth Lugo to a 2-year, $46 million deal. He was a widely known trade candidate. That ended up not happening. But then also now you get the news of Chris Bubic being injured and out for the year to a rotator cuff injury, which I think both of you guys picked Bubic and Lugo to get traded in our poll.
Yep.
So you guys don't know ball apparently. But
Wait a minute. Hold on. I called the Ryan McMahon trade.
Yeah.
I do know ball.
yeah, well, partially.
Okay.
I'll give you credit for now.
Whatever you say.
But anyways, I think that. So David, when you get the Lugo extension coming across, what did you think about that?
It's not. I mean, it honestly, Seth Lugo has described that he kind of wants to stay in Kansas City. I don't think he really wanted to go anywhere. So I don't know that he would have been comfortable being traded. And I think there's some kind of preference there for that they, had signed Seth Lugo to this longer extension. He's got a player option. Like, that was always going to make it difficult for whoever traded for Seth Lugo is, his 36-year-old player option for like $20 million. Like that's a tough ask to give up real value for a rental guy that could opt in if he got hurt or something. That made it so that I think that Royals were willing to approach Lugo and try and lock him up for what they felt like was market value. I mean, it's right at market value, but this Royals team, I mean, I picked him to go to the World Series. They just have not been able to find the pieces, right? Randall Grichuk's not going to be the missing piece to take you to the playoffs. So, and losing Chris Bubic, who was one, he was your best pitcher, but two, he was your best trade candidate too. Like he could have really solved your problems in the outfield long term. Like that all is now out the window. You might as well go for it, right? If Lugo was already not going to bring back the return you were hoping for, and you want him around next year anyway, right? You had the option. If you weren't trading him, he was going to be around next year anyway. You might as well give him the extension. That's fine. Like at the end of the day, the Royals going for it makes some sense, but they need to make such a big swing that they don't have the capability to make right now, that hoping you're this year's Tigers is probably their best choice of outcomes. So I guess I get it, but the Bubic injury, I think, really swayed this to that direction because he was the one that could have brought back a big haul to kind of change next year's fortunes, like major league ready haul. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, I think the Royals, and I guess we were going to get into them in here in a little bit, but I mean, I'm never going to blame a team if that thinks they're going to be competitive next year for holding a player that is going to be on the team next year, like Seth Lugo. Now, I will say Seth Lugo is 35 years old. You could probably get a pretty good amount for him, and you just gave him as the Royals, who are a very financially they're on the bottom end of the finances for Major League Baseball. They're a little bit more aggressive than some of the others, which I give them credit for. But they signed him to $23 million a year, and which is fine. I mean, that's the market value that pitchers are getting. But if you're a team like the Royals, that is a risky signing to have $23 million on the books the next 2 years with a guy that's 35 years old and his peripherals are down this year. He's still got a 2.95 ERA, which is awesome, but he's definitely taken some steps back in his peripherals. So, there are a few caution flags there. I wouldn't call them red flags at this point, but I like Seth Lugo, but you probably could have gotten a haul for him. Maybe not a haul, but you could have gotten some real prospects for him. But I don't know. I mean, and the Bubic thing, I don't know that I would have traded Bubic. He's fairly young and he's still under control. And
it's only next year that he's.
But I mean, you're trying to compete next year, and he's been like an ace level pitcher for you this year. So I mean, I definitely would have kept Bubic around, but obviously they're going to now because of the injury. But yeah.
I don't hate it, honestly. Like, especially what I think this does is it locks in your rotation for next year. It seems like with Reagans, Lugo, Bubic coming back, then you're going to have Waka still, and you have the breakout of Noah Cameron this year. That gives you 5 good starters that you can kind of do with. And what it does is it opens you up to potentially look at offensive upgrades in this offseason. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them use more money in the outfield or try to trade for an outfielder this year. I think it just in the offseason, maybe like a Taylor Ward, they've been rumored there before. I don't hate it on the end, just locking in another guy who has also been a good clubhouse guy there. They all love him. Like sometimes you shake those guys up and it doesn't work out the same for you. So I'm not going to hate it at all, but wanted to use. Oh, let's stay in the Central real quick, because we had another bombshell that got dropped on us today about a potential trade deadline target, and talk about something that could have reset a franchise for, a small market franchise, that is, with the Cleveland Guardians, and that is that closer Emmanuel Clase is now also on the MLB restricted list and is being investigated for his own gambling issues, like Luis Ortiz, as well. And we've found video on Twitter. There's been video going around of some very suspicious first pitches of games, but not if Andy Pajas is in the box. I'll tell you that.
Oh my
He
god!
makes sure that doesn't happen.
That's funny.
There was like 22 outings this year. He started with a ball one. And I think one of those is like he threw it to Andy Pajas, it bounced the slider, and he swung anyways.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. But this throws a real wrench into the Guardians' plans, because they could have, he was available, but not really available. But if a team overpaid, someone could get him this deadline, and now they're not able to trade him, and there's a potential that he could be banned for life from the game, because we've just seen that instance a couple years ago. So Matt, when this happened, when this came out, and you're like, Clase's for betting, basically.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the impact on the deadline, but just in general, what this impact that is going around right now?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this might be the stupidest thing a professional athlete can do, who's getting paid. I mean, Emmanuel Clase was going to get paid as a reliever. He's one of the best relievers in baseball.
He's under contract for like 3 more years. He's only getting like $8 million a year.
Yeah, but he's getting $8 million a year. I don't care. I mean, I know, like, he's getting $8 million a year. Like, why are you out there sport betting on throwing? I mean, he's not really throwing games in the same way that, like, he's not losing on purpose. He's throwing ball one, but like, I mean, how stupid can you be? Like, you're making $8 million a year. Just don't spend your money on stupid shit, and you'll be fine. So I don't understand why you would do that, but it's something that goes around, and you're if you're obviously, and obviously nothing's been proven, or nothing's been like released that is a surefire thing. But I would assume that if MLB is going to suspend him indefinitely, and the fact that he has a teammate that's suspended indefinitely for doing the same thing, Luis Ortiz, that they've got to have something on him. I mean, that makes you think it's not just a coincidence that he threw. I mean, he has had some command issues at times this year, but like throwing ball one in the dirt that many times with fastballs is very suspicious. And I know that they monitor the bets placed on those pitches too, and I bet there was a lot of money put up on some of those pitches, and that's pretty suspicious.
Yeah, I saw a stat that it was like his first pitch thing, like the metric it was like 15.8 on the first pitch, and all his other ones were like 8.
Yeah,
it's like
percent waste. Yeah, waste.
Yeah,
pitch,
that's
not good.
Alarming that it's double the amount, basically.
Yeah,
but yeah, go ahead, David.
This is the course, I think, of gambling being a league sponsor, right?
Yeah,
I think the discourse around gambling, and I think sports gambling at its core it can be fine, right?
Yeah.
But the industry is so large that the TV networks are getting in bed with it. The sports themselves are getting in bed with it. But then the players are growing up. They're not professionals, right? They come up, they're betting on stuff. Then you become a professional. You can't do that anymore, right? It becomes very frowned upon. The worst part about all this, though, is that like it's so avoidable. But then you've got like you've got some of these videos are Class A throwing it with like a Bet 365 sign in the background. Like there's so much, like, I'll call it like two-faced. It's just two-faced by Major League Baseball. They're suspending players for gambling, but promoting gambling at the same time. I'm like, I kind of want it. I kind of wanted to pick a lane. Is where I would really want. They're gonna choose the money every time, right? They're gonna choose the money the gambling sites are throwing at them. But this is the product of the gambling. I don't want to call it an epidemic because I don't think it necessarily
Right.
is,
Well,
but like it's just been so deeply ingrained in our society the last 5 years
yeah.
that suddenly seeing that professional baseball players are betting on games, betting on potentially their own things,
Yeah.
like that's where it's like it doesn't surprise me. I'm not surprised in the slightest that it's occurring, but I am disappointed that it's come to this. It's come to this from
Yeah.
there.
Well, I'll say this. Sports gambling's been around a long time. I mean, and I think that the big difference now is how accessible it is with mobile betting apps. In back in the day, you had to have like a network that got to Vegas to place bets for you, and there was a long paper trail, and it was difficult to do. Now you could just call your buddy and say, "Hey, put a bet on this on your phone. I'm going to throw ball one," and it's a lot more accessible, and it makes these guys feel like they're going to get away with it easier. Now, I will say this: I have zero sympathy for these guys, even if MLB's got betting signs in the background and stuff, because it's just stupid. We've known for 50, they've known for 40 years what happened to Pete Rose. It's just stupid that you would do that, regardless of whether MLB sponsors betting. I don't really care. You're a professional athlete. You do not bet on the sport you play. Go bet on football, sure, that's fine. Do not bet on the sport you play. It's plain and simple. There's no vagueness to it. MLB has obviously had a very strong stance against it, even though they might sponsor it on TV or something. They have a strong stance against gambling, but for players, the players all know it. He had a teammate get suspended. We had an umpire get suspended last year. They know that there is a zero tolerance policy, and just don't do it. And that's what bothers me about this whole thing is just don't do it. There's no excuses for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So middle update, not to throw it off this track though, but Eugenio Suarez was just hit with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball in his hand and left the game. So that's a potential trade deadline. Big deal. Yeah. This is why I say I don't care. You probably shouldn't wait until the actual deadline day for some of these big sluggers if you're going to continue playing them every day, because you run into this scenario where 2 days, 3 days before they can get hurt by something that is not their doing at all, when you probably have very fair trade offers, but you're trying to ask for way too much.
And there's also take it with a grain of salt with Hector Gomez. He's a good reporter sometimes, but he also sometimes things aren't verified. He says other Guardians pitchers are also being
don't believe that. MLB literally told the Guardians there's no more Guardians being investigated. The Guardians literally put that out on their own statement.
This was just a few minutes ago. So
yeah, I don't believe Hector Gomez on that. I'm gonna believe.
I'm
gonna believe the league that says there's no other. But if you want to know how I feel about the Emmanuel Clase trade or suspension, I traded for him a month ago in Dynasty Baseball, and now he potentially is gone forever. Great deal there. But let's talk about a couple of the injuries, because that Eugenio Suarez thing that can lead us right into a couple other ones. Much smaller injury here with the Chris Paddock thing. Reese Olson has a shoulder strain. He's out for the rest of the year. He was having a good season. Tigers are decent right now. He's going to be in there, but that's why they got Chris Paddock, basically. The much bigger one that is a very touchy subject right now, because it can go either way, and that is Aaron Judge. He has a flexor strain. He has been placed on the IL. The Yankees are hoping that it's a minimum 10-day stint, and that he can then DH for 10 to 15 days after that and potentially be back in the field within a month. But if you're already having troubles throwing from the outfield, you have a flexor strain, I'm not sure that's the best case scenario. And in the meantime, they're potentially putting Giancarlo Stanton out in left field because they have to. They need something to play out there if his bat's going to be there. But yeah, I mean, this potentially has ripple effects for next season if Aaron Judge isn't able to get healthy and needs Tommy John. Apparently, he could probably be back close to the beginning of next year if he gets it in like September. But if he tries to play through the playoffs or something with this, it's something that can delay his season big time into next year.
Yeah.
How long was Bryce Harper out the 1 year he got Tommy John?
8 months or so, and then he came back and was DH the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah, I think I want to say he came back in June and DH, but I don't know when he got it.
Yeah,
I know Ohtani got it in September of the year that he was a free agent, and he was playing in spring training games and he was ready for opening day when they were in Korea. But you never know. Because I think he got like a
He's a
modified
freak.
Tommy. He's a freak. He also got like a
Yeah.
modified Tommy
Well,
John brace.
Yeah. Well, he was
deal,
also
so-
DH only
Right.
last year too.
He was
so,
DH only, yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
He was still rehabbing, but
yeah, it's
I'm just
easier to
saying-
rehab with. It's easier to swing a bat than play the outfield with
Right.
that. So.
So he could come back as a DH potentially, depending on when he gets it. But obviously, hopefully, he doesn't need that. Hopefully,
Yeah.
this does fix itself and that there. But it's always a touchy subject when you're starting to talk about elbows on people that have to use
with
them.
it being a flexor strain, that's not a typical Tommy John injury. Sometimes they'll
Not
have
for a
like
fielder.
forearm strains where it ends up being like a forearm inflammation or something that they do the imaging. But I would assume they probably would know it if it was a UCL with this one, because it sounds like they've done imaging on it. So
They have
hopefully that's the case.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of get to the. I guess we have one other thing. David, Jed Hoyer got an extension.
He did.
Yeah.
It's deserved, I think. I saw some of the dumbest discourse I've ever seen in my entire life about it on Twitter today. I think that to make a longer point short, he's done everything you'd have asked for a GM taking over for Theo Epstein, who broke the curse, the 108-year curse, won the World Series in 2016, left the team in a rough spot in 2020, right? There was a lot of tough decisions that were going to have to be made in 2020 and 2021. He let Jed Hoyer kind of take that on, left the team before his contract was up. Jed got thrust into a spot where his basic first move was to DFA Kyle Schwarber, and then later signed Jock Peterson. That it's just going to look bad from the start, right? But he got Pete Crow Armstrong out of the deadline upcoming, and from that, and then has since taken that team, made really good free agent signings. I mean, Dansby Swanson looks like the best of those free agent shortstops from that one class. And, Seiya Suzuki looks like a masterpiece of a signing. Like, he's done a great job, I think. Kyle Tucker trade looks good. Cam Smith obviously been pretty good for the Astros too. Yeah. It's a kind of a win-win trade, but he's done everything right. He's Jed Hoyer's done everything right. Paredes wasn't going to be this without the Crawford boxes, right? So
true.
I think he's built himself a really good team, really good chance this year at the playoffs. And I think having that multi-year stability allows the Cubs to go out and be aggressive here at this deadline, but understand what lies ahead in the front office. And that should give that should shed some clear light on, how free agent negotiations are going to go, what the Cubs feel like, and kind of how they're going to operate at this deadline.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's a good move. I saw people saying, well, they should have waited till after the deadline so he felt like his job was at risk. And it's just like, well, if you already know you're going to sign him, he already knows he's going to get the extension. Like, this didn't just like, they didn't walk into his office this morning and say, hey, you want an extension? He's like, oh, I didn't think I was going to get this for like another week. So yeah, let's do it. Like, no, he's known this is happening. I think, people are worried that he won't do what he needs to do long-term at this deadline. It's like, you shouldn't really worry about that. Like, you're going to do what you're going to do regardless of what your tenure looks like moving forward. So I think it's deserved. Like you said, I think he's got the team into a really good spot. He's made some signings that we didn't agree with and have turned out to be really good. So, they obviously know what they're doing. Jed knows what he's doing there. It's really going to come down to whether Ricketts give him everything he needs to be successful. And that's kind of been the story with a lot of ownerships, and it's been the story with the Cubs for a while. So they're going to have to pony up some money this offseason. They're going to have to break their biggest deal in franchise history.
Oh, dear God, please
do it.
It's Jason Hayward. And if you're wondering, it's Jason Hayward at home.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening, Jason Hayward is currently still the Cubs' highest paid all-time player. We have to fix that. Please fix that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I'll say, and just very quickly on this extension, you don't, when you're in the middle of a building period where you finally look like you're turning the corner, you don't fire your GM. You don't let him walk. Regardless of whether you agree with every move he's made. I mean, now you got to remember Jed Hoyer has yet to make the playoffs, except was 2020 Jed Hoyer yet? But it was like that was Theo Epstein's roster. Yeah. I mean, and it was also a weird 60-game season. So
and I'm not. Jed Hoyer had a playoff caliber team in 2023 put together, and they collapsed in September. Seiya Suzuki couldn't catch a ball in right
Seiya
field against the
Suzuki,
Braves.
yeah.
Oh,
That. Those types of things are. That's not. That's just not on the GM. Like it's
Yeah.
just not. They missed the playoffs by one game, and the one game was a game they lost because of an error by one of your best signings. Like you can't
Yeah.
control that. Like it is what it is. You know,
And-
like that's fine. He's done a good job.
Even his one teardown has led to a
Mhm.
MVP candidate at this moment, another top prospect who either will be called up or potentially moved at this deadline with Alcantara.
Yep.
So I think he's done a fantastic job. So before we jump to the trade deadline or primer, we want to let you guys know we will be live on the trade deadline. We're hoping to go live at 11 p.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, all the way through the deadline and probably a little bit after as well to try and get any of those last minute breaking news. So we're looking 4 or 5 hours of deadline live coverage right here on this YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, go to the YouTube channel, like over there, like this video, but subscribe as well so you guys don't miss when we're going live there. And check back in periodically if you're at work or whatever. We'll be trying to keep you up to date with everything that's happening and break down everything that's happened up to the last couple days even. So we'll talk about it again at the end of the episode, but we want to really highlight like, hey, join us for that because it's a lot of effort we're trying to put in to the deadline this year to be the most informed and give you guys as much content and stuff as you can possibly want. And we will try to talk about even the small trades. We're going to need something to fill 5 hours. And it's not going to be all about Eugenio Suarez, especially if he's on the IL at this point. But now let's jump into what we will be talking about on Thursday. And let's start with some of the sellers, right? Because we know Arizona's already going to be a seller. We know other teams like the Pirates potentially are going to sell. The Orioles should sell. There's a bunch of other teams, right? A bunch of teams have some stuff here. But the Diamondbacks. I don't know why I said Giants. Diamondbacks, they obviously have, we're talking about Eugenio Suarez. They have Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, potentially Shelby Miller. These teams need to, or they should already be looking into potentially moving a Merrill Kelly or Zach Gallen, right? Like, I feel like they almost need to jump on trading one of those a day or two earlier than waiting to deadline day because it's really hard to pull off 3 to 4 deadline day trades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Diamondbacks have already done a really good job of setting themselves up for a successful deadline here where they could potentially move one of the starters and then have a chance to move the other at the deadline. It's apparent they're going to hold out for a big price on Suarez. I think if they did get what they wanted already, they would have moved him. I think the cost right now is just really high because they know they have a lot of suitors. He's the best bat on the block. He's one of the best bats ever to get moved at the deadline. Like it's now obviously that's hurting them, right? If he is hurt, that's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
But I think up to this point, it's been fine. And obviously maybe, we don't have all the info that this injury happened while we're live. It could just be precautionary.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would give him the next 2 days off. I know that
For dang sure.
He would not be playing the rest of the games till the deadline if I was in control over there.
I will say you might play him if he can in the next couple of days just to prove that he's not injured.
That's also
mean,
a possibility.
at
You
this
can
point,
send
like,
them, you can send
They
them the
probably
X-rays.
should have, yeah. And I will say this too: they probably still trade him even if he's injured, because if he's got a broken hand or something, they won't get the same thing for him that they could have gotten without the broken hand.
I don't think they do. I think they just go to the offseason and give him the qualifying offer.
I don't think can they because they traded for him last year, right?
He's been on this full season. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You just have to be a
okay.
full season with the team.
Gotcha. I
He
didn't
would be
remember if it was
eligible.
1 season or 2 seasons, but
No, you just can't have got the qualifying offer before, but I don't think he
Okay.
did because he signed that big extension with the Reds.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to beat the qualifying. I don't think I think they have offers right now that are better than the qualifying offer.
Yeah.
I think they're
Yeah.
trying to shoot for the stratosphere, and it's going to end up hurting them if he gets injured here, because then you're going to have to. And I say hurting them because they could very easily want to re-sign Eugenio Suarez. Like, he could still be a free agent if they trade him and re-sign him there. But I think you're going to have to make one of these moves. And if it's not Suarez at this point, I think you need to do a Kelly or a Gallen sooner. I don't know when they're lined up to pitch either. Let me look and see if that's a potential thing that comes into it.
Neither of them are lined up.
Yeah,
to
I was
pitch
gonna
on
say
the
they
deadline.
probably set them until the deadline anyways. If there's even a
Yeah,
chance.
they're
they'll trade them.
Friday, Saturday. They're
Yeah,
lined up Friday, Saturday. So
Yep.
I think they should do that. looking over at the Twins, obviously they have some dynamite bullpen arms with Yohan Duran and Griffin Jacks. Probably should at least move one of them. Probably Griffin Jacks, but you can get a bigger haul for Duran. Depends. Apparently the Phillies have talked to the Twins about it, and like the starting asking point for Duran was Andrew Painter. So I don't know like that, but they do have some couple other pieces, right? Like Willie Castro is probably a guy that should be moved. They probably should move Griffin Jacks at this moment. Don't know if they'll trade Pablo Lopez. He's still a few weeks away from even coming back. Joe Ryan, Duran as well. But I definitely think Willie Castro and probably Griffin Jacks should be the two guys they move.
So I love Griffin Jacks. I think Griffin Jacks is
really
the kind.
good.
So he was starting until 2021. I think the play for any of these teams hunting a controlled starting pitcher, and there will be a lot of them, is trade for Griffin Jacks here, pay a premium on the reliever, obviously, but this offseason, pull the Clay Holmes, pull the Reynaldo Lopez, stick him in the starting rotation, see if you can't get 5 really dominant innings out of him instead of the 1. I think it's very reasonable. He's made some very legitimate changes with his breaking ball that are potentially some that you can carry over. He feels like the kind of guy he's had starter experience. He started until 2021 in his career. I think Griffin Jacks is he might be the most interesting name we talk about on Thursday. You mentioned that he might be cheaper. He's been better than Duran every year. So I don't know that he's super, super good. Like he might be the better reliever of the two. And I feel like you could also get a good starter out of him. Like there's a very interesting name that's going to be very expensive. He's going to cost a top 100 prospect, probably multiple, Griffin Jack's super interesting. I would, if you're telling me Duran costs Painter, who's a top 10 prospect, he's been hurt a lot, but like I'd be paying whatever 2 top 100 prospects for Griffin Jacks before I did that for Duran.
I would say Duran's also 27. Griffin Jacks is 30. Like anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll be fairly surprised if those guys get moved. I don't know that the Twins are in a spot where they're really ready to just full kick off a rebuild. I think they're obviously going to trade the guys that are not under control. But I mean, these guys that we're talking about, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, Duran Jack, they're not free agents till like 2028. So if the Twins are going full rebuild, then I think then obviously they would trade them. But like I don't know if the Twins are like. I mean, the Twins are obviously built their roster thinking that they were at least near competitive level this year and going into next year too.
I don't think you move both of them. I think you move one of them. And that's why I think it should be Jax, is because he is 30 and he's a 30-year-old reliever who he's not your closer, but someone's going to pay he could potentially be a closer for them. And you still keep your Joe Ryan, your Pablo Lopez, you still keep your lockdown young closer in Duran. Like, I think you trade one of them to get you better pieces to help you moving forward. Like, who's going to be more valuable for you? Griffin Jacks for 3 years, or as your setup guy, or potential prospects, or an MLB level starting pitcher or outfielder that you can get to come in and play every day. Like, that's what I think they should do. Not that they will, but I believe they should.
Yeah, if you're getting a major league ready guy, maybe, but
we're close.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be shocked if Griffin Jacks got 2 top 100 prospects though. I'd be absolutely. I mean, I know you.
I'm thinking back end. I'm thinking like 80 and 90,
maybe.
As
but I'll
to
be.
Like 50.
I think they'll get. I think
20.
he would get 1 and maybe a lottery ticket type guy that has high upside, like a recent international free agent signing that was a pretty good bonus guy, something like that. I'd be surprised if it was a 2 top 100 guys, but we'll see. Prices
are always very weird at the deadline. But the fact you do have to factor in he has 3 years of control. So that's the thing. Let's fly through a little bit of these other ones so we can talk about some buyers and tweeners and stuff here, because we're already 45 minutes through. Rockies, they're just going to pull the Rockies. They're not going to. I mean, they traded Ryan McMahon, but Herman Marquez is hurt already. Don't think they're going to trade him. Like, they really should. They should trade Jake Bird and Seth Halverson. Because I think they could actually get something really interesting for Halverson. But they're relief pitchers. Like, they should have traded Daniel Bard like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever that was, and they just didn't. Like, I'm not convinced they'll actually do anything with trading those relief pitchers there. Looking at the Pirates, there's been the talk about Bednar, Mitch Keller, but then there's also talk that like maybe they like Mitch Keller. They want to keep Mitch Keller. And it's like, well, we want Owen Casey for him. And it's like, well, that's not happening. Well, we love David Bednar. He's a Pittsburgh guy. And it's like, okay, but like, you're not, it's a closer. Like, you're not competing.
Yeah.
They're very weird. They're Bob Nutting, Rand. Like, who knows what they're going to do there.
The one interesting one on that is there have been some rumors of O'Neal Cruz. I'd be absolutely totally stunned if that happened.
Yeah.
But
no.
there have been some form of rumors about him. But
you would have to be blown away.
Yeah, you would.
You would have to get like
it
4 top 100 prospects.
Yeah, it'd almost have to be like a Soto level return, considering his age, and I mean, maybe not quite that, but
it'd have to be pretty close.
It was something crazy, yeah.
Orioles, they should definitely look like a seller at this point. You could definitely see Charlie Morton.
Who on earth is going to trade for Charlie Morton?
He's been pretty good since he came back from the bullpen.
Yeah, like if you look at his recent numbers since like June, he's actually been very good. I definitely think Sir Anthony Dominguez should go. Ryan O'Hearn should go. Cedric Mullins probably should, but I don't know what his value is at this moment. There was a lot of talks about Felix Bautista, but he's hurt. And he's on the IL. I don't know if he gets moved at this point now, especially given he has more control still.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the Orioles are similar to the Twins. I don't think they're in the market for getting rid of controllable guys right now. Like they're out of it this year. And I think they're all going to sell all their rentals, but they're wanting to compete again next year. So,
well, I mean, there's been some light rumors that they could even potentially look into Adley, given that they have Basayo right there.
Yeah,
Adley has 2 years of control. I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying there's been some light rumors of it. So the whole like, hey, they want to compete next year. Who knows if you're trading a guy like Adley, that might not be your scenario.
It feels like an off-season move,
Yeah, it does. I feel like an Adley trade might not even necessarily mean you're not competing next year, though, because I mean, I think they feel like Basayo, if he can catch, I mean, I'm going to say it right now, and I probably won't say it again, and it's probably going to bite me. Adley's been a disappointment over the last couple of years. He really has. He's not been the guy that we thought he was going to be. He had a great first year and a half, 2 years, and then since then he has just been kind of a decent catcher. I mean, it's not, and he's dealt with some injuries and stuff, but I think trading him would mean more of like, you really like Basayo, you still think Adley, but you don't believe as fully in Adley as you might have, a couple of years ago, and you think you can get something that's going to help you next year from him, and then Basayo can be just as good anyways. It's kind of what you're thinking. It's kind of like if the Braves traded Sean Murphy thing, like So, but I think I don't think it's going to happen. So
no, Cardinals. Nolan Arenado doesn't seem like he's going to waive his no trade clause. So there's that. But they absolutely should trade Ryan Helsley. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I think that's absolutely a move that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, especially with Clase and the potential non-trade of Duran there, he's going to be one of the top closing pitchers on the relief market. So you'll probably see his price skyrocket a little bit more.
Yes.
Nationals as well. They have a couple of interesting pieces. Nathaniel Lowe, Mackenzie Gore. Will they actually choose to trade Mackenzie Gore? If they can get a big enough package, who knows? If the Cubs give him Owen Casey, Moises Ballesteros, Kevin Alcantara, Matt Shaw, everything else right there.
You had me until you said Matt Shaw.
if they can get a really good package, he has 2 years or 2.5 years of control left.
And he's a Boris client, so he's
a Boris guy. He's going. They've had really bad Boris dealings before. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, it potentially feels like an offseason move if you're going to do it, but at the same time, starting pitcher is a dime a dozen, and he could potentially be the best one traded at this deadline. Like, if you get a big enough haul for it, I think it might be worth looking into. They also have Kyle Finnegan, who's been a trade rumor for 5 years now. Has never happened. So there's that. The White Sox, Luis Robert, he should absolutely be traded. It sounds like he probably will be at this moment. It's been back and forth for 2 years. sounds like this will probably be the time. Adrian Hauser is another interesting one. He should probably be moved as well. And then who knows? They probably have some bullpen arm that someone will pay for at some point.
One White Sox thing, there's a couple of starters that, or a couple pitchers for them that have been pretty good for them this year that maybe don't have the pedigree, that are very controllable, and I wouldn't be shocked if one of them got moved.
Yeah,
Because
Burt, Cannon,
yeah,
Martin,
couple of those
Shane
types.
Shane Smith's
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah, but trading a guy with a lot of control and that you maybe don't think, you think their value is never going to be this high again, type thing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. The Rays, they're another interesting one because they kind of do want to do this pseudo buy sell thing already. We saw them trade Danny Jansen, but they're apparently getting Nick Fortes, although 3 hours after the trade, Danny Jansen's still sitting in the Tampa Bay dugout. Apparently, I just saw that. Who knows? But they do have a couple interesting pieces, right? There's the Drew Rasmussen potential. Zach Littell is another one. Taj Bradley's been really talked about, but I don't think you send a guy down to AAA and want him to do stuff when you're really going to try and trade him there. I think Littell and Rasmussen are definitely more likely. Brandon Lau is a guy who absolutely could be traded. Yandy Diaz is another one who's been really talked in trades recently. Like a team like the Red Sox could really like a guy like Yandy Diaz. And then also Pete Fairbanks. We just talked about the closer market. You throw him out there. He's not better than Helsley, but he's still a very solid relief pitcher that could be moved.
Count the Rays in the boat of a team that could do absolutely anything at the deadline. We have no idea because they always they operate differently from everyone else.
I'll tell you, I know one thing they're not going to do, and that's trade Junior Caminero.
Probably
That's
not.
it. That's the only thing they are not going to do.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so the Angels, they are a team that should sell pretty hard, but they are a team that are only going to sell rentals, it looks like at this moment. Yusei Kikuchi looks like a guy who they could potentially do, though he has a couple years of control. You expect to see Tyler Anderson, probably Kenley Jansen, Luis Rengifo, maybe. Taylor Ward also maybe. That's not great. Sorry, I'm distracted. Dalton Rushing just got hit in the hand as well.
Oh my goodness,
not good
with the fastball. So, you could see the Angels do some light selling with rentals as you go there. Staying in the American League West, the Sacramento Athletics, as we're going to call them from this moment. Luis Severino, he could be gone with some big time home road splits. I could see someone really wanting to get him. JP Sears, I don't really see him, but there's been some talk about people think he's controllable left-handed that they can fix at that moment. But the real wild card, Mason Miller. Will they do it? They could cash in at this moment.
Yeah.
It could get a lot. And if you're talking about a team acquiring a guy who they potentially look at making a starter moving forward, Mason Miller could be the guy.
If you believe his elbow won't explode.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man.
Unless you are the team that explodes elbows.
There you go.
In which case,
might as well.
Dodger.
Yep. That's why he was my number one pick. It's a match made in heaven, I'm telling you, or hell. It's a match made somewhere.
It's made,
They could absolutely cash in at this moment. So, the Braves, they have Marcell Ozuna, they have Raisel Iglesias. They don't have pitching anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Pierce Johnson and Aaron Bummer. I mean, they got some relievers, but I mean, Ozuna's the big one.
It'll be interesting to see if he waves his 10-5.
I think he probably does, but I think
those can be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to spend. He's older. He doesn't want to spend one of his last seasons on a 90-loss team. I mean,
maybe. So we talked about the Guardians already losing out on the Emmanuel Clase part. They have Cade Smith, Stephen Kwan. Probably have Shane Bieber has been talked about a little bit too. So those will be some interesting pieces to see what they do. I honestly think they should try and cash in on some of these guys at this moment. The Marlins as well. There's been a lot of talks that Sandy's looks like he's going to get traded. I think Sandy himself even said he expects to get traded at like a 90% clip. I think he said. They have Edwin Cabrera as well, and then a couple other relief pitchers, and Anthony Bender, Declan Cronin. Is that right?
Yeah.
There's been some talk about maybe their outfielders a little bit. Jesus Sanchez, Dane Myers. They could potentially be looked on the move as well.
I'd be really nervous to trade with the Marlins especially if it's Sandy, because Sandy is a very cheap contract right now, and considering what he's supposed to be, and I think that if the Marlins trade him, it's because they don't believe he's going to be back to form ever. They think
I
he's
don't believe that.
and
Yeah.
he might. I might be wrong. The Marlins might be wrong, but the Marlins also have the reason I was going to say this. They have the Rays' old front office.
Sure, but my
So,
point is they had trade talks before Sandy blew out his arm that they were talking about trading him.
right,
So
right.
I don't think that it's like a hey, they don't think he can ever get back to form. I think it's just they see that the time at like pitching is such a part of a need right now, and that if a team is convinced that they can make a fix, which Sandy's looked better recently, he's looked a lot better recently. I think it's why you do it. That's why I don't think they trade Edward Cabrera at this moment. I think that's why they're trading Sandy.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, let's run through teams that we expect to be buyers and maybe just some quick hitter needs, right? We're going to say every one of these teams need pitching. They need starting pitching, relief pitching. You're going to hear that for every single team. So just deal with it at this point. Cubs, obviously pitching. Potential third base. They've been in the Eugenio Suarez talks. Matt Shaw's heated up recently, but at the same time, do you want to believe that you want to bet that he's going to keep that up? Or if a guy like Suarez is available, do you just say, hey, Matt Shaw, we believe in you long term. You've been hot. We want to see you continue to do that. But we can get a big time bat in the middle of this order at this moment.
Yeah.
The way I thought of it was Suarez would take over kind of the Justin Turner slot, but then you'd slide Matt Shaw to that spot on the bench, right? And Matt Shaw be coming off the bench a lot more. But he's a grinder anyway. He doesn't care. He'll do it. Yeah. So it works. I like it.
It could also be a real interesting part is you could see Eugenio Suarez because he has done it be a platoon side for first base with Michael Busch.
Yep.
So there's that. Yankees, it's really pitching at this moment, but they're kind of falling into this like tweener role where they might sell off rentals and look for controllable guys. I will just say there has been talks. That like Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, the rentals that they have could potentially be traded at this deadline. It is more realistic than you think. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, I'll say I can't imagine the Yankees trading. I mean, the Yankees have had some disappointment lately, but I mean they've got 87% playoff odds right now. They're going to be a wild card team. I can't imagine them trading guys they think are going to help them this year, unless they're trading them for upgrades for this year. Like
it would be a soft sell and getting controllable guys in return.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think they just go get controllable guys and not the soft sell part.
Yeah.
With that, okay, I'll just I can't say
you got it. It's good.
Yeah. Oh no, I know what you mean. I'm just saying, like that would surprise me if that actually happened.
It's more realistic than you think.
Yeah.
Dodgers pitching, obviously bullpen, most likely starting pitching, whatever. They could use a fourth outfielder. Sounds like they potentially trade Dustin May for that. They've been linked to Harrison Bader, and God, I don't know why. But anyways, they can look for another fourth outfielder. Yep. Conforto's been a hole in left field for a while, but really since the beginning of June, he has like an 800 OPS. He's actually starting to kind of turn it on a little bit. So I wonder what they're really looking for. Yep. Probably a right-handed hitter at some point, but
they're looking for an outfield bat and a pitcher that has Tommy John surgery.
Potentially. Phillies, they're looking for a center fielder. It's what they've been looking for 3 years now at this point. And obviously a closer as well. They need a closer. Yeah. Even if they get Alvarado back, he can't help them in the playoffs. They signed David Roberts, but I still think you need a back end closing pitcher there. Don't know if starting pitching really makes sense, but definitely a closer for them. Detroit Tigers, third base is a big question mark for them as well. It's a team that we all screamed for them to sign Alex Bregman, and Alex Bregman's been great, and they need a third baseman. We'll see what plays out with Suarez or anything else. Blue Jays, they actually do need starting pitching. Like they probably have two of them, and a potential bullpen arm and a bat. Anthony Santander's been hurt and unreliable so far. Dalton Varsho's been hurt and unreliable. Like need, they had a breakout from like a guy like Addison Barger. George Springer's found it again recently, but you need to do something to get some life back in there, as they are currently like one of the best teams in baseball. I think they might have the best record.
I think they are the best team in baseball.
Yeah,
right now,
63 wins is They got
Bro.
like a 1-game lead on a bunch of teams.
I am not kidding you when I just got a thing. George Springer's just hitting the hand.
Oh no.
I literally.
How many
I'm
guys
about-
today? What's going on?
I don't know.
Are they playing the Guardians?
I don't know.
What the heck?
But yeah, I'm not even kidding. I have it open right here and it just popped up. Like, Jesus. Also that, David. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. The Giants, they need some starting pitching. They need some more offense. Got to probably find an outfielder. That's kind of been a thing there for me and first base. But now Devers is playing first base, so that'll be interesting to see. Mariners, you got to find offense somewhere. You got Naylor, but can you get a Suarez? Can you get a DH? Can you get an outfielder bat somewhere? And another relief pitcher to go with Andres Munoz. Brewers, they're a team that's always going to do the soft sell, soft buy. Like, who knows? They need a buy this year, but again, third base. It's like, but there's only one real third baseman out on the market, maybe a couple, but you got to figure out what to do there, and probably find some other starting pitcher. But at the end of the day, who knows? Then you got some tweeners. You got San Diego Padres. There's been talk that they could potentially trade a Dylan Cease or Robert Suarez to upgrade something on this team right now. Those are very real. They've looked at the outfield market. They've looked at needing another starting pitcher. We'll see where they move from there. Texas Rangers, they're a team who we thought were going to sell for a while. They've now kind of worked their way back in. Only
They're
4
going
games
to
out.
buy. Yeah.
They're only 4 games out of the division. They're going to buy at this point. They have a ton of things that they could potentially use. Will be interesting to see how they attack that. The Reds and the Royals are the last two. We talked about the Royals a little bit already. They probably need to continue that on. The Reds are a team interesting because you have 2 really good teams ahead of them in the division with the Cubs and the Brewers. The wild card is also very stacked with a lot of NLS teams. So what do they do? Do they sacrifice trying to go for it a little bit this year? Or do you just try to build on this core that you have so far and look forward to it for the next year? Maybe just stand pat at this deadline or soft buy. So that's just some in-betweeners, buyers, sellers, kind of what to kind of look forward to as the next couple days approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely would sell if I was the Royals. I'll rent and your rentals.
They don't have
They don't have any at this.
I know.
Lugo
I know.
was the only one. Yeah.
I wouldn't buy. In other words, unless you find a controllable guy I don't even know if they could get one. But
if you went and got like a Taylor Ward from the Angels, he's signed
Maybe,
for at least next year. That's a big power bat. Like, it's helping you this year, but it's giving you a guy moving forward as well.
Yeah.
So, David, you want to take away for player of the day stuff real quick?
I sure do. I think it's pretty obvious who this week's player of the week is going to be. But we had July 21st, we had Bryce Matthews at his first 2 career home runs. That did win player of the day. Christopher Sanchez won player of the day on July 22nd. It was Vinny Pasquantino with 2 home runs on July 23rd. Stephen Kwan won the limited play on July 24th, Thursday. All but 4 teams were off. So Kwan pulls it in there. I think he had a home run and 3 hits. Nick Kurtz had one of the best offensive performances of all time, potentially the best offensive performance of all time. On July 25th, we didn't even throw up a poll for that. Kevin Gossman is going to win the 26th, and Paul Skeens got yesterday over Max Scherzer's 11 strikeouts. I am disappointed, but it is you guys who make the votes, not me. So among those names, guys, I nominate Nick Kurtz. 4 home runs, 6 hits, 8 RBI, 19 total bases to tie Sean Green. I didn't think we were ever going to see anybody tie Sean Green's record, and he hit one 2 feet off the wall from the fifth home run.
Yep.
Yeah, which seems to happen a lot in these 4 home run games. I think Josh Hamilton went off the wall too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it's Nick Kurtz this week, no question.
I think it's pretty easy.
I think just to bring up on the Nick Kurtz thing, that was only the 19th, I believe, 4 home run game ever, which is more rare than a perfect game.
Yeah,
which is shocking, and obviously the 6 hits in that, including the double, is just crazy. He had a 449 WRC plus this week, and because it wasn't just that one game, he had a great game in either.
Yeah.
He had other good games this week too.
That's also the second 4 home run game this season. Suarez
it is
won earlier this year, won player of the week for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Nick Kurtz also now has a 184 WRC plus as a rookie.
Yeah.
67 games. That is just he's been phenomenal, and it's been cool to see because I was high on him in the draft last year.
mhm.
So again, we want to remind you, we will be live for the trade deadline, going live very early. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel, be around for that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. I guess if you subscribe in general, you subscribe on this video. Who knows? All right. We're not good at talking here.
Nope.
We are very
Never have
amateur.
been.
Never have been. We won't claim to be either.
Yeah.
All right.
We're not going to try to be.
No, we're authentically who we are.
Yep.
But we will be live for a long time trying to break down everything for the trade deadline. So don't forget to tune in and stop in at some point and just let us know what's going on. You guys got anything you want to wrap up on? I know, David, you probably potentially. Do you want to say it?
We just got news that Ryan Sandberg passed away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's a former MVP, all-time Cubs legend, former Phillies manager as
Hall of
well,
Famer.
Hall of Famer, like one of the best all-time. From all the reports I've ever seen on him, he's a really great guy, and one of my dad's favorite baseball players. I've always known who Ryan Sandberg was due to that. I mean, I never got to see him play. He was before my time, but I mean, for a second baseman to be that great offensively. To win an MVP, only a couple of guys have ever been that good, right? In all of baseball history. So, big time rest in peace there for a Cubs legend, and among others. So.
Absolutely. And I think he was only 65. I think he'd been battling cancer, is what I read.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that was very sad. I hate to hear that. So
Absolutely. Well, not to end on a little bit of a sad note. So we'll give a little bit of hope as we move forward. Evan Petzold just put out that the X-rays have come back negative on Eugenio Suarez so far. Now we will see moving forward. Sometimes those don't show up immediately. Sometimes they're the next day or so. But it is funny. They're playing the Tigers, which is a team that could go and get him. Who was they hit by?
No.
And apparently there was a thing where they want to finalize the deal before Wednesday, so he doesn't leave. But there it is. So not to end on a bad note, Eugenio Suarez might be okay.
There you go.
Maybe not.
Here's open.
If you want any update, tune in on Thursday for the live stream. So thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Batflip Podcast. Don't forget, live stream on Thursday. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe here. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys back here on Thursday.